Hello and welcome to the Gratitude and Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mitic. I am an actor, a yoga instructor, a former ballet dancer, but above all, I am a wildly curious person. So I've spent the past several years researching and studying human behavior, why we do what we do, who and what we innately are, what my purpose is on this planet. And I'm here to share the insights and the tools that curiosity has led me to uncover, in hopes of helping you to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of your own life, and in hopes of inspiring you to become the person that you have always wanted to be. So pull up a chair or go for a walk, hop on that treadmill or go for a drive, and join me as I explore what it is to be a human being in this lifetime. Hello, and welcome back to the very first episode of Season 2 of the Gratitude and Growth Podcast. My name is Sarah Mitic, and I am so excited to start my first round of interviews today. And I'm starting it with a man who has been a North Star in my life, an inspiration. He is an incredibly talented actor. He is the creator and founder of Go Get Your Greatness, the one and only Ronnie Rowe Jr.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Ronnie. I know I said it, but thank you so much for doing this with me. I have to say, before we dive into everything, that I find it so fitting that you are my first interview. You have been such an incredible light in my life, who you are, what you're here to do in this lifetime, the way you show up every single day. For those of you who may not know, Ronnie and I met on the set of Star Trek Discovery. What feels like a different lifetime now. It feels so long ago.
Yeah.
And our stations or consoles were next to each other. And so we'd always have these amazing talks in between takes. Looking back now, we had so many profound talks. And I was at a point in my own understanding and awakening where I intellectually understood some things, but I didn't understand them in like an embodied physical way. And then I went through a massive shift and I went through a really dark time and I thought about our conversations a lot. And in that dark time, you and I had these super random phone calls, like once a year, once every 6 months. I remember the one I was walking around, we were talking on the phone for like 45 minutes. And I'm pretty sure I talked for 40 minutes of the 45. Just like blabbing, being like, I discovered this about my mind, and I discovered this about my soul, and I discovered this about faith and the universe and God and all these good things. And I felt so seen by you. And I don't think I ever communicated how important and what a gift that was for me. And that's you. That is you. That is my experience of you. And I bet that's a lot of people's experience of you.
I appreciate you so very much just for saying that. But I just want to let you know I'm super proud of you too, for doing this and for sharing your light. You've always had it. So the fact that you built up the gumption to go out and share with everybody is it's really dope to see. So I'm just super proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's dive in. I've got some questions here, but also we can chat. We can do whatever we want. Okay. The first thing I remember of our conversations as well, and something that's imprinted on me, is since I've known you, I'm sure it hasn't always been like this, but since I've known you, you've had a really wonderful and inspiring understanding of the power of the mind.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me? How did that come to you?
Wow. I mean, I was always fascinated by the mind. You'd always hear people saying or scientists saying that we only use 5% of our mind, or, like such a small portion of our mind. And I was always fascinated with tapping into what it is we could actually do with it. And I think it started from being in a place of not being my happiest. and being like, okay, how could I control this? Like, how could I control, because I used to have a temper at one point. Um, like, and I was like, I want to get a like control of the reins of how I think and feel. And I went into like a deep dive, like looking for every kind of book that I could about the mind, about healing yourself with your mind. Matter of fact, I did that. Um, so it came, I think it came from a place of being at my lowest or low point, that inspired me to want to really equip myself with not being able to go back to that low point, and having and equipping myself with knowledge and information to just be like, all right, no, I know better now. So it's not never going to happen again.
Okay, I love that. And in that time in your life that I imagine that it was a transformative journey, right? Like there was a time, I know for me, there was a time where same, I dove into these books and I had an intellectual understanding of it, but then the practical execution of
Mhm.
that intellectual understanding, that for me was there was like a gap there that I had to bridge for a little bit, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think I actually think it came from a heartbreak. I think it actually came from a heartbreak. I think most people will like discover their true self out of like heartbreak or like a pain. And I remember I was in this relationship and it affected my health. Like I was so stressed within this relationship that it affected my health. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I gotta do something about this. And I remember one of the books that changed my life was the Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And that book was a game changer for me. That um that and The Alchemist would be like two books that I'm like, people that are like starting their journey. I'm like, that and The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements, The Alchemist, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. If anybody's listening to this and they haven't read any of those books, read them all. Read them all. And I would say read The Alchemist first because it connects with the dreamer. Read the Four Agreements because it gives you four basic principles on how to live life in a very efficient way. And then The Power of Your Subconscious Mind will just just allow you to develop a very healthy self-talk that will
Mm.
help grow you into the person that you want to be. But I mean, I I healed myself from a hernia. So I had a linguinal hernia. I don't know if I even told you this, but I had a
No.
hernia and it required surgery. Like the only way you could fix a linguinal hernia is through a surgery. And so I had one, I had surgery, and I remember the doctor saying, you know what, there's a very high possibility that there will be a reoccurrence or you'll get it on the other side. And I allowed the power of suggestion to get into me, and I got another hernia. And I'm just like, what the heck? And I was like, but I'm not going to do surgery to fix this. And I was well into like my delve into to searching books and understanding, and I was reading The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and I applied the principles of that, and I healed my body of a linguinal hernia. Like it's a hole in your abdominal wall, and like it's painful. It's all of that, but I healed it. Like that was over 10 years ago now. And I squat very heavy. I deadlift very heavy. You already know I work out all the
I
time.
do, I do, we're gonna get to that, I do.
So you know what I mean? But and it was such a powerful thing for me because one of the things I remember in the book, it's like one of the most powerful evidences or results of all of this is self-healing. Once you can heal yourself from something that's not supposed to be curable without a thing, it's life changing. And I was able to do that. And it was taking myself out of a place that was uncomfortable and seeing myself in a place that was comfortable and normal and whole and perfect. And I just had to go there every day. I had to go there every day, even though I wasn't there, but I had to go there here. And when I went through my mind, um, one day I woke up and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm not even gonna say it. I'm
Yeah.
and just celebrate, and yeah, yeah. So it's real. It really is.
Yeah, okay. I've had similar experiences with myself on physical ailments as well. And so I wanna ask you if you remember, because it was a while ago, for those people who are new to this concept that you can heal yourself with the power of your mind, with the power of your feelings, your emotions, with your body.
Mhm.
Do you remember what you did, like, physically did? I mean, I know I was doing visualization, meditation, and for me, it was tapping into the feeling of that health, the feeling of, my body functioning at the optimal level. Do you remember what that
That's
was for you?
That's the key. Well, I mean, I remember because I still do it to this day. Even though it's not healing my body, it's bringing things into my life. But it really is a form of prayer, is what I understand now. It's a form of prayer, and like there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "See it as though it's not," and that's exactly what I had to do. I had to see myself as whole and perfect, even though I wasn't, and it was going into that place with the utmost belief of what it is. It was putting myself in the end place and living how I knew I would feel once I was there, and going to that place as often as I could, until the 2 points met and it became my reality. And boom. And it's the same thing with bringing things into your life. A lot of people, pray or do their thing from a place of lack. They're like, "Oh, please,
Yep.
can you give me this?" And when you're asking for something to come to you, it means you don't have it. Where you
Yep.
have to actually be in a place of expectancy. You have to expect that thing to come, and you have to claim it. You don't ask for it, you claim it. And when you claim it, that's when the game changes.
Yes, okay, let's riff on this because I operate from a similar place, and for me, what bridges the gap between that, the visualization of knowing I'm gonna get there
Mhm,
and actually being there is faith and gratitude and
mhm,
knowing and being appreciative and grateful
mhm,
for that now. So,
100%.
yeah, talk to me a little bit about what faith is for you.
I think faith is the fuel that grows the seed that you've planted. So
Oh, wow, that is beautiful.
you spoke about like positivity and gratitude. Well, I liken everything to farming. You know what I mean? And when we have the seed of desire, we have to plant it into our subconscious mind. But just like any seed, you need to nurture it with sunlight and water. And the sunlight and water within our physical bodies, within the prayer of gratitude and positivity, that is the sunshine and watering that you're putting on your desire. And when you're thankful and you're like, "Oh, I'm so thankful that I know this is coming," and you're watering. When you
Mm.
can write your gratitude list, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for this." And when you're positive, I think passing tests of positivity through reaction is a very powerful thing, because we are very reactive. But I think a path of life is depicted through how we react to situations. And if you react in a not so great way, you're going to get more of how you react. But if you react in a good way, even if it's a very crappy situation, something good is going to happen, because you didn't let the external change your internal. And everything is generating from your internal. You know what I mean? We are created in the image of God, and he operates through us. So when you're connected to that and you're at peace with that, then you can create beautiful things from that.
Yes, absolutely. How did having that awareness so once you started reacting the ways you wanted to react, when you started really being the version of yourself you wanted to be,
Mhm.
how did that affect your day-to-day life?
It affected my day to day. It affected the routine. It affected my checklist, my task. I had a task list of things I had to do, which incorporated things that would perpetuate the positivity that I was trying to keep in my life. So, reading. Our life is the the residual or the regurgitation of what we are taking in. So what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you have around you, all of this stuff is going to affect what you manifest into your life, what you bring into your life. It's just like if you're eating bad food, there's no way you're going to get into the shape that you want to get into. You just can't. You know what I mean? If you're eating too much or eating like really greasy food or sweets and all that good stuff, you're not going to get a six pack. I'm sorry. Like you could have all the genetics in the world. It's not going to happen. So it's the same thing with my daily tasks. I was like, okay, cool. I need to make sure that I exercise. I need to make sure that I make time for my artistry. I need to make sure I make time for my mind and my spirit. So I'm meditating and I'm praying. I have to make sure that I'm taking time to be thankful. And and when I started to do that, at first it was work, but then it becomes a habit, right? You do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. And then you see the effects of it when you don't do it, and so I think the biggest thing I would say to people again is you make a list of to do's, and make it to do's to help empower you to be who you want to be. It's like work in reverse, see the end result and what does it take to get to where I want to get to. Write all that stuff down. That's your list, and now you just check that list and you just make sure you're doing those things to ensure that you're getting what you want. And if you're not doing that stuff, you can't be confused to why you don't have what you want. It
Mm.
really is quite simple, but most people don't want to do the work or don't want to like check themselves or hold themselves accountable, right? You feel the way you feel because of you.
So that brings me to another point that, oh, you so inspire in me and so many other people is this something that I think is actually the greatest form of self-love, and that's mental discipline,
Oh yeah, 100%.
right?
100.
I think a lot of people, when they hear mental discipline, they're like, they think automatically going to the gym and things like that. And it is, right? Of course,
Right.
100% it is that.
Yeah.
But what I see now, and I want to get to go get your greatness in a little bit, but
Mm.
I remember watching your videos when I first met you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is like, whew, talk about mental discipline. You could just see it. But mental discipline for me, I've always had it. I've been a dancer. So to a point, I've always had physical mental discipline. You just have to. But
Definitely.
the past couple of years, I formed this really interesting relationship with discomfort,
Mm.
physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And the more I push my comfort zone on each of those planes, the more joy I feel, the more resilient I feel. And when it comes to the physical plane of it, I find pushing my physical discomfort, because to me, that can be the most uncomfortable, sets me up for when the emotional discomfort comes, for when the mental discomfort comes, because it's you versus you. I always say that. I'm like, it's you versus you, right?
100%. It's it's the whole thing where you could only grow in discomfort. Anybody that understands, I always like correlate everything to exercise, but I think exercise is a staple in understanding like manifesting and just growth in life because you're voluntarily putting yourself in discomfort, right? But then you get to see tangible results of what happens when you do that. So I'm just like, if for anybody that's starting this, start working out and lock into a disciplined plan of changing your body. Once you change your body, you can change your life, right? Because I have the utmost respect for bodybuilders. That's how I train. I train like a bodybuilder. I take elements of life where I see works. You know what I mean? And I'm like, bodybuilders are so disciplined. They have to be on 99% of the time. Otherwise, it's going to show. So their eating has to be on, their workouts have to be on, their rest has to be on. Like there's no element of what they do where you can slack. Otherwise, it's going to show. So I think I forgot where I was going with that now.
The
What was I saying?
physical plane. Yeah. Mental discipline in the physical plane, and how if you change your body, you can change your life
Exactly.
and your
So
mind.
yeah, so all that to say is that yeah, the discipline of putting myself in discomfort in exercise makes everything easy because I'm voluntarily doing that. I'm just like, all right, let me see what I can really endure because at some point life's going to try and punch you in your face. Like it's just
It's
going to,
inevitable.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, all right, um, I was a big Kobe Bryant fan, love that man. He changed my life. He changed my mental. And he said something. He's like, if you're always prepared, you never have to get ready. And that really stuck with me. So I'm just like, okay, cool. So if I just do this work and do it daily, because he always spoke about doing this daily work. And he's like, yeah, you do that. But if you do that for 10 years, it, you get compound interest on doing this ridiculous allotted work. You know what I mean? Where most people are taking days off. Like in our industry, some people are very lazy. You know what I mean? But I was like, I need to I need to use my imagination, pull from different things, and become like this hybrid of every great aspect of something that I see. And I'm like,
Mm.
that way I have no excuse. I can always be ready. I could always be ready, and acting is easy after that because I'm just trying to go through life like every other successful thing, whether it's a bodybuilder, a pro athlete, um, like a teacher, a student, whatever it is. I'm trying to be the best version of that with what I do, you know, and it works. It's been working. I have no complaints. I'm happy. I'm healthy. Um, it's kept me sane, and it's therapy. It really is. It's very therapeutic to put yourself through discomfort because then you have to self-talk and get through these very difficult times, right? Like these very difficult times that you're putting yourself through. So then when you get plopped in a difficult time, you're just like, well, oh, isn't that bad? Like this doesn't hurt as much as the plank or the
Yeah.
sport or just I'm like, all right, cool. All right. It sucks. It didn't work out, but hey, bless you and keep it moving. So yeah, the physical discipline has been a huge thing for me.
Yeah. Question for you, because sometimes I struggle with this. Do you ever find that your routine becomes a crutch or becomes the trap? And then you're locked into a routine and perhaps, and I'm not just talking about like gym routine, but in terms of the books you're reading every day, things like that. Has your routine ever felt like more of a crutch that's almost keeping you from living life, from being present, from evolving because you kind of get locked into something?
Um, yeah, but I think from the aspect of outside people, not necessarily myself. It would be people being like, "Oh man, like yo, you know, like you why don't you do anything?" Or why aren't you eating this food? Or why aren't you doing? And I'm like, what I understand now is not everybody is going to understand your journey. Not everybody is going to understand why you do something, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I honestly don't. I actually embrace it now. And I'm like, the fact that people question what I do means I'm doing something right because it's authentic and organic to me. You know what I mean? We're all different. So if somebody doesn't understand something I'm doing what Ronnie's supposed to be doing at this point. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think balance is key, but it's also being intentful with what it is that you're trying to do. And there's a give and take in every phase and stage of life. So if you're trying to do something, you have to sacrifice something over here in order to get that thing that you want over here. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest thing is being okay with what you agreed for yourself because you said, all right, this is what I want to do. This is what it requires me to do. So for this allotted time, I'm going to do this and it's okay. So if I'm trying to change my body, I can't be eating how I usually eat all the time. I have to be restrictive with how I eat sometime. And I have to do that for a certain amount of time. But after I get to where I want to get to, I could be a little more relaxed and eat a little bit more and be a little bit more free with how I eat. But I think when we have goals and we're trying to attain certain things, sacrifice is a thing. Like it's in the ages. Like again, you read the Bible. I'm a Bible thumper. So you know what I mean? They had to sacrifice things all the time to get something. So if you want something, you need to give something or give something up.
I mean, and it's how else do you change? You know, you can't keep doing the same thing and then expect different
Different
results.
results.
There
Yeah.
has to be a give up of something to gain something else. I totally resonate and hear that. We had that one phone call and we talked about solitude versus loneliness.
Mm.
Once it's a good one, right?
Yeah,
Of
no.
like sometimes this journey, this path, and everybody's path is different.
Yep.
And that's even with these interviews that I'm diving in with season 2, this entire podcast, my purpose behind it is just to guide people along whatever their path is and to provide them with different tools that can help navigate that.
Mhm.
But I think most people I've talked to, there comes a point in their journey of healing, self-actualization, whatever terminology, consciousness, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
um, where there is that pull into solitude. When you're first starting to really implement some of these deep-seated understandings about humanity, consciousness, the earth, who we are, innately who we are and what we're here to do, and then also discovering your own version of that and maybe your own purpose and things like that, where I know for me, I really pulled back and I still like solitude is it's a very integral part of my life. And
Listen.
I went through a time where I was like, nobody understands me, so I'd rather just be alone because I'm happier alone. And I speak with a lot of people of how solitude and loneliness are two different things, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Solitude is integral for me. I'm a lone wolf. I like that's just what it is. You ask anybody that knows me, they're like, yeah, yeah, Ronnie probably ain't coming out or doing anything like that. And again, very similar to one of the answers I gave before, but I'm like, it's knowing what you want. And I think there's so much noise. There's so much noise in the world sometimes. There's so much societal noise, all of these things that sometimes it requires solitude so that you can actually hear your voice again. You know what I mean? Um, and then some people get comfortable in the solitude. Again, balance is key. But I think in order to truly grow and to truly understand who you are, you need solitude. You need to step back from all of these people that have an opinion or a say in what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, how you should look, all of these things. It's like, no, 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 no. You need to go to the secret place and abide with the shadow of the Almighty and just be like, all right, cool. Like, what is this? What are you asking me to do? Who am I? What do I want? What makes me happy? Where's my peace? You can't do that if you're asking a person that you're interacting with, what's my peace?
Right.
You know,
And
they're gonna say me. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
100%, 100%. And it's like that getting to know yourself and getting to learn yourself. For me, that took a solid, I'd say, year and a half of just asking the questions. And I mean, again, it's a forever evolving. I think I meditate on the question, who am I? Probably 4 times a week. Honestly, I'll sit there and be like, okay, who am I? Am I who I want to be? Without that perfectionist voice. Because I don't know about you, but
Yeah,
perfectionism loves to manifest in this work too, right? It's like you
yeah,
break away from the external perfectionism that the outside world puts on you. But then your own ego kind of gets into it and you're like, well, am I perfectly present
right.
enough? Like, am I, but
Yeah,
I forget where we were going with that. But yes, I think solitude too is so integral. And even when you start transitioning back into the world, as I kind of pulled away from family, from friends, from relationships, from everything because I was just, it's like the butterfly, right? I was in my little cocoon and I was so impressionable and I was still so susceptible. And this is why those phone calls are so important to me because I couldn't talk about it so openly and authentically with anyone because I didn't realize people were having these conversations. I I thought at first I was so far behind. I'm like, "Oh my goodness. Everyone's been working on themselves and I just have never done the work." And then I'm like, "Okay, but these concepts and these tools weren't obviously accessible to me. We
of
don't
course.
talk about it. We are more and more. But
Mm,
I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then I did find the books. For me, books I'm the same. Reading, I have to read every single day. My morning routine is it's ingrained in gratitude, it's ingrained in movement, it's ingrained in meditation, it's ingrained in some kind of spiritual or profound text that roots me in what's
Yeah.
real. Because the moment you step outside and you go into 2024 living,
Wilderness.
right?
Yeah.
It's just, it's like, yeah. Um, which all of this brings me to when we were talking about mental discipline and you were talking about, pushing your physical comfort zone. I remember when your dog passed, if I may bring that up, if that's
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
And you posted on Instagram. You were on, I'm going to guess it was the Stairmaster because I feel like that's a tool of choice that you like to go to.
It's a weapon. It's a weapon of choice for sure.
And you had posted, this is how to heal heartbreak, or this is a tool to heal. You had posted something. And I wanted to ask you, because times of trial, times of challenge are inevitable. You can be as grounded and present and joyful and grateful and positive as you want, but trials are still inevitable. And trying to deny them, I find that that's at least when I used to dip into toxic positivity. The trials are there, they're going to come. For
Mhm.
you, what are some tools? And we've probably already talked about them, but like when shit hits the fan, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
What do you do?
Well, now I pray. I, I
Mhm.
I I I definitely pray. I read books, old books that have always just been staples for me. So literature, uh, like the grounding and uplifting literature, and exercise. Like exercise. I One of my things that I say is I transform pain into progression. And
Explain that for me.
so I say exercise and pain into progression because, like you said, there could be toxic positivity, but by me bringing my pain into the gym, I'm still allowed to feel it, but it's in a like a controlled setting. You know what I mean? And the thing that I'm taking it out on is the weights in my body. You know what I'm saying? So like when I lost my dog, like my heart was broken. So the pain that I felt in that, I transmuted into physical exertion, into physical pain. Right. So I was just like, you know what? Let me match this. Let me match this somewhere and expel it because I need to get it out of my body. I need to get this hurt out of my body. So let me use this physical to transmute it. Like when I lost a friend of mine, a director, Canadian director, Charles Officer. You know, um, just thinking about Charles and him not being here and stuff like that. Yes, it hurts, but then I'm just like, I use the pain and turn it into progression, and I'm just like, well, instead of being sorrowful or hurt by this, let me be inspired that he's no longer here, so now he can live through me. You know what I mean?
That's
And
beautiful. Yeah.
I think I think perception and perspective is everything. I think that's the magic. The magic right there is our imagination. It's how we see the world and then allow it to be whatever we want it to be. Like there can be like me and you, we can look at the world and be like, oh man, and you can have one story and I can have something completely different. And I think that's what's really amazing about life is that when you do enough work on yourself, you can always paint a beautiful picture, even in something that may seem ugly, because it's always in the eye of the beholder, right?
Mhm.
So I think perspective and perception are two very powerful P's that I like to live by. And I just try to see the positivity or where I could find the positivity from the pain or the displeasure or the hurt or whatever it is, because there's something that I can take from that that will help me grow. So even if it's a relationship that didn't work out, yes, it hurts, but I'm like, okay, cool. Past this hurt now, how can I become a better person within a relationship next time I get this opportunity. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, it didn't work out. This sucks. I'm never going to love again. No, there's a reason why it didn't work. But now let me identify where my stuff was with that and make sure that I don't do the same thing next time. Everything is a trackable and improvable situation. It's just whether or not we look at it like that.
And I think I just want to go back one moment to this turning pain into progression. I think that's so important because, and for you, the avenue of physically allowing yourself to embody it and to feel it and to let it go through you, because I think so many people don't allow it to pass. I'll still get hit with pain, with grief, and it's allowing myself to fully feel it in whatever resonates. So same thing, sometimes I'm in the gym and I'm just like, push, go, 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 and like feel it and allow it to pass through me. Or it's just sitting there sometimes, for like 5 minutes and letting myself scream and sob and just go through me and then be like, okay. But so much of the time, and this is where the training and the discomfort comes in on the emotional plane, because it's like, of course, it's uncomfortable to hurt. It's uncomfortable to grieve. It's uncomfortable to deal with heartbreak, but it's more uncomfortable if you don't release it. It's more uncomfortable and it lasts so much longer. And then you build your entire identity around this pain so that nobody touches it, right?
Mm.
And so I find that it's so important for people to know how to release their pain in a healthy way that isn't on other people and that doesn't self-destruct.
Yeah, I liken bottling up emotion to not not pooping when you need to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm like, if you can compare it to a physical thing, if you do that, your stomach starts to hurt and you become very uncomfortable and you can't operate the way that you want to. You know what I mean? But there is a certain relief that happens when you release that. And another way for me, with regards to transforming pain into progression, is through writing. It's through writing. I think, like you said, it's really important. I think we need to feel things. A lot of people try to numb things, and I'm not saying to act like stuff doesn't hurt because things hurt me. But I've found ways through physical activity and writing. I write a lot of poetry and stuff like that. And I feel these things. I feel the hurts and all of that stuff. And then I put them into words. I put them into situations. I put them into artistry. You know what I mean? And that way I can feel it. It gets expelled because you have to release these things out of your body or they will forever live in you. And then I believe that's how disease happens in your body is when
Me
you're not
too.
expelling these things out of your body, you're not getting these things out and they fester, they mess up your cells and you get sick.
Yep. I completely agree with that. I've witnessed it. I mean, witnessed it in myself. I've witnessed it in other people. And again, it circles back all the way to the beginning of this, the power of the mind, right? If you hold on to bitterness and resentment and you don't forgive and, you wake up every day and your perception of the world is everyone's out to get me, everything's awful, everything's negative. That it's energy, right? All of it is energy and I truly believe and have experienced it builds inside of you. And yes, you can absolutely heal yourself with it if you're willing to do the work of what that requires,
Right, right, right.
right?
Yeah.
So, um and what's beautiful too, I think when you allow yourself to release the emotions, I write as well. That's a
Good.
big avenue for me. It's in whatever way you also don't end up indulging and spiraling in the emotion because you've
Right.
honored it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then you're not living 6 months in this heartbreak where, of course, even if the pings come 6 months later, you haven't, like if you don't release it, you give it that, like, I don't know what the words are, but, like, precious importance to label it to be something where it can be what it is.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like, and I tell people, like, when I see that people still have like a festering anger towards somebody, I'm like, you have to write a letter. because like closure is huge for people. You know what I mean? But sometimes closure isn't supposed to be said to a person, but it is supposed to be said. And I'm like, write a letter and let her rip. You know what I mean? Get it ugly, nasty as you need to, but get it all out and then burn it. And then burn it. Because at that point, we all need to vent at some point. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. We're humans. It's just like you want to be heard. That's just what it is. So you have to put it down on paper, release it, and burn it. And when you burn it, that's when it's done. You just have to be like, you know what? I said everything I need to say, regardless if the person heard it or not. I said everything I needed to say. I saw it, I felt it, and you got that release.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's power in writing as well. We don't do it enough. But I think we need to write things down more, like our goals, our feelings, our hurts, all that good stuff. The hurts you could burn, the good stuff you keep.
Yeah, exactly. It's so refreshing for me to hear you say that of everybody needs to vent because you start doing the work on yourself. You start having that awareness that your thoughts, your words, your actions create, right? And then I was like, "Oh no, well I can't say anything negatively ever again about anyone." That's what I mean by the perfectionism, right?
Yeah.
Loves to creep in whatever way it can. But yeah, and so even me still sometimes I find the balance and that's why writing is important for me and I too similarly have done the letters of even when something is bothering me, it's like, okay, I can vent to my partner. I can vent to somebody I need to. But then when I start venting, quote unquote, this to everyone in my day to day life, now we're dipping into complaining. Now we're dipping into negativity and just that negative talk about other people. But there is that we are human beings and we will have times where we need to release. We are hurt and we need to talk it out and we do get angry. And I used to be I think a lot of people at some point in their lives are quite reactive. And it's until you realize where that reactivity is coming from. So I've learned it's like, okay, cool. I very rarely am reactive with the person who's causing the pain.
Right.
And it's like process. It's exactly what you said. They don't need to read the letter. You don't need to say those things, but you need to get it out
Yeah, 100%.
in some capacity.
Yeah, it's a form of therapy. It's like, it's like saying it to somebody, but people just need to get it off their chest. And you're talking about like just like I think a lot of people emotionally dump. A lot of people are emotionally immature. And I think it's important to feel things, but you also have to be responsible with how you're feeling things and sharing them. And again, that comes with work, but some people think it's just like it's okay, I'm feeling this, so let me just and it's just like no, no, you have to be considerate of the other person. And honestly, one of my favorite things is to follow the golden rule, and it's to treat people the way I want to be treated. You know, if I don't want to get dumped on with emotion, so I'm not going to do it to somebody. I'm going to try and process my emotion before I articulate it, so I can be concise and be like, "God, this is how I feel," not just throwing all these stuffs. And no, like, let's be adults. Let's be people that have worked on ourselves and communicate that stuff clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and what I want to highlight to everyone who's listening here is sometimes that means in the moment, in even like a heated moment of reactivity or something's happening, that's where also for me, the solitude comes in of like, I need to step back and I need to, where is this in my body? Why am I feeling this way? And first, before go and even talk to a friend and just be like, blah, 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 all this happened, at the root of it, it always comes back to me. It always comes back to me. And so I think that's where that solitude is integral to any kind of work because even you speaking about it to somebody else and that emotional dump, that's noise in a way. For me, at least, that's noise.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So,
The solitude is key. And I think when you practice solitude, that's when you can take yourself out of a moment. You know what I mean? You can be like, okay, hold on. I'm getting outside of myself. And very often I'll be like, you know what? I'm getting frustrated. I need a second. I need to just gather my thoughts and see what's going on. I'm not trying to say anything that's hurtful right now. So just give me a second. I'll be back. I'll be back. Get off the phone, but let me get my wits about me because I'm not just trying to lash out or do anything. That's self-awareness. And I think that comes with solitude because you're the only person that's there at that point.
Yep. 100%.
Yep. I think it's important.
I want to change gears here a
Please,
tiny little bit.
let's
I
go.
want you to talk to me about Go Get Your Greatness.
Reach you why.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's exactly that. It's it's just a movement to inspire people to tap into their highest potential. You know what I mean? Like we all have our own gauge of what something is, but that's why it's your greatness, not go and get Ronnie's greatness. It's go and get your greatness. And that's going to be different for every person. But I think it's very important in the human experience for us to go and aspire to do great things. That's what keeps us going. That's what wakes us up in the morning. That's what keeps us happy. You know what I mean? Because you could always look at yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I did that. Like I went from here to here. Like, wow. And that's why like go get your greatness is it doesn't matter the magnitude. If it's just writing a page of dialogue every day, like that's what it is. That's amazing. Whatever that thing is, whatever makes you feel good, whatever inspires you to be a better person, that helps you be happy, go and get it. Go and get it and be the best version of yourself that you can be, because you're only going to help humanity and the people around you when you do that.
I'm going to ask you a personal question. Do you have like a deep seated calling to be of service?
Yeah, I think that's where it stems from. Like honestly, even my workouts, I sometimes I don't even feel like working out, but then I'm like, there's somebody that might be watching this. There's somebody that may not want to do something, and I find energy in doing things for other people, um, for hitting different levels that some people might think aren't attainable, but I'm just like you. So if you could see that I could do it, it means that you can do it. But now all you have to do is follow the formula of what I'm doing and you can do it. So I remember Will Smith said something one time, and again, I was just like,
Yeah.
and like, um, he's like, we're all just examples. We're all just examples of what somebody else can be. I was just like, I like that. So I'm just an example of when you lock in, when you're disciplined, when you stay to yourself, when you're humble, when you're all of these things, that good things could happen. You don't have to do it the way that everybody else does it, and that's one thing I want to carve out. I was like, I want to do it a little bit different. I don't want to be all in your face with I want to be very low key but disciplined. There's nobody that knows me that can say that I don't work hard, and I wanted that to be my staple. I'm like, I get what I want because I work hard at it.
I love that. I love that. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up here
Sweet.
with two questions for you.
Okay,
Okay.
still going.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
we're still going. We're still going. I've decided to end all my interviews with these two questions, but you're the first one, so you're kind of the guinea pig.
Okay,
But
great. Love it.
given the title of the show is called Gratitude and Growth,
Gratitude and
I'd
growth.
love
Okay.
to, yeah, I'd love to ask you, what is something that you are grateful for right now? And what
So,
is something that you're growing through right now?
um, I mean, with regards to gratitude, there's so much to be grateful for. But I will always say I'm grateful for life, for waking up, for the opportunity to live this video game again. You get life is a video game. Believe me. You wake up in the same bed that you went to sleep in, and you get to do life all over again. And I'm very thankful for that, and just to have like really enlightening conversations like what we're having right now. I live for this stuff. But yeah, I'm very thankful for life, very thankful for life. Um, and what I'm growing through. I would say what I'm growing through is continuing to trust my intuition and my discernment with regards to knowing when to be outside and when to retract back into my solitude. Um, because if I when I look back at how I've attained my success and just my good feeling in my heart, it was with solitude. Solitude was a big part of that. And I think, growing to trust trust that, trust that, because everybody wants to tell you, oh no, you got to do stuff with that. I'm just like, listen, if it's not broken, don't fix it, especially if you're not a crappy person. With regards with, not all of us are extroverts. I'm an actor, but I'm an intro extrovert. You put me on a set, I'm going crazy, but like at home, I'm reading a book, and I'm very low key. I just really like to take in the world and the things around me. So just just growing and continuing to trust what I know feels right, but question it because some people tell me it's wrong.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Thank you. Ronnie, I have so much love for you.
Yeah, no, it's been a journey. It's absolute pleasure. You're the kindest person. Like when I got there, you're like, okay, just watch me. And I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. So yeah, no, I love and appreciate you. Like I said, I'm super proud of you and your growth and where you are right now. You're exuding light. So, keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today and just sharing your incredible everything, light, energy, wisdom, words. Um, it truly means a lot to me. I'm very
I
grateful for you. I have so much gratitude, but you are my biggest gratitude today. Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening today, for tuning in to the very first episode of this new season. I hope everything we talked about today inspires you, encourages you, and reminds you that you have power over the choices and over the events in your life. As always, stay grateful and keep growing. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe button and maybe send it to someone who you think might need to hear today's message. And let me know how everything's sitting. Leave me a rating and a review and let me know what's resonating with you. What do you want to hear more of? What's your favorite episode and why? And I hope you find your way back here to another episode, another time, as we keep exploring this beautiful and wild thing that we all call life.